Welcome! Coming up on this week's Tech Show, we've got new hardtails from Canyon, a new metric for bar setup, and some burley rubber, and much, much more. The next big game changer. Last year there was much hype about tune mass dampers, aka TMDs. We've done a video on it, so if you don't know what they are, have a look. It seems more pro teams and riders this year will be running those tune mass dampers this race season. But we're looking forward. What comes next? Okay, well, tune mass dampers are used on motocross bikes and they're used in big Baja race trucks. But we're a pedal sport, so could the next game-changing tech come from roadies? Okay. I think this is something that teams will be doing and potentially maybe keener mountain bikers will get, well, keen about. French downhill superstar Loic Super Bruni is apparently already doing this. And with many things, bike and mountain bike, I've no doubt that someone else will have done it before as well. It's already caused a really heated debate in the office. Right, what am I talking about? Wheel balancing. Yes, that's where, as the name suggests, you ensure that the mass around the outside of your wheel is balanced. Some folks balance the rim or offset the valve inside and then remount the tyre and then rebalance, and others kind of rebalance when it's all assembled. Our skinny tyre brethren on GMBN Tech think that this will be or could be the next big thing. Okay, on paper, this does make sense. All the mathematical models that we have for bikes do assume that wheels are balanced, well, balanced perfectly. I mean, most high-end rims will be balanced. We're mounting the valve into the rim, so there's a bit of instability, but you've got a hole and then you've not got a hole, so it's pretty well balanced already. High-quality tyres, well, again, high-quality tyres should be evenly balanced already. I mean, there will be some minor differences. Then, if you're running tubeless, there will be sealant, which, well, initially at the start will be in the bottom. That's gravity doing its magic. So there's the potential for a small, tiny imbalance. And what are the effects of this unbalanced wheel? Well, some say that if the mass of the wheel isn't balanced, there's the potential of speed wobble and other factors. You might not roll as well because there's this off-balancedness, which could lead to bearings wearing faster, and you could potentially feel this imbalance. Where else do we balance wheels? Well, many of us will drive, and on the road, whether it be a car or a truck, well, they'll need to be balanced. You can feel it when it's not being balanced. I mean, I'm just speaking of kind of driving cars, but you can feel it. GMBN Tech's Ollie, he can feel it too. He thinks it's a really important or marginal gain for bikes. Okay, he's talking about the road, and the cars I've driven are on the road as well, but what about off-road? Well, Bernard Kerr has spoken about the huge jumps of Red Bull Hardline and how he could feel if his mechanic had put too much sealant in his tyres. So perhaps there is something there. We chatted to one top-tier World Cup mechanic, and he said that it could make a small difference for his rider in the air, on really big jumps, and on super high-speed tracks. So he'd do this sort of rebalancing of wheels when he put the sealant in, he'd put the inserts in, and the tyres were all mounted up. And due to, well, the weights being on the rim and they could get knocked off, he'd recheck between race runs. So, could wheel balancing be the next big thing? Well, maybe. We chatted to a couple of brands about wheel balancing, and for them it is an issue, and it's one that they work extremely hard to manage. So in production, for high-end alloy and high-end carbons, they will try and offset and balance them before they've even laced them. So with good wheels, they should already be really well balanced. Okay, I got nerdy, I researched. It would appear that dirt trackers, aka flat trackers, do use wheel balancing, so that's kind of interesting. But I feel like we've got maybe more similarities with the sort of motocross and enduro, and that's really different from flat track. Okay, MX racing, be that supercross or motocross, also has big money. So they're going to spend the time, the cash working out, well, if it works, if it's a real advantage. So do MX and enduro racers use wheel balancing? Well, there's a heap of videos sort of talking about how you can wheel balance for MX and enduro motocross bikes. And there is that logic on paper that if it kind of applies to push bikes, then it could apply to motorbikes. But are they actually doing it? Well, I chatted to Randy Lawrence. He was a World Cup downhill racer in his own right, but he was also a mechanic for legendary MX racer Jeremy McGrath. He's now a mechanic for his son Ryder, and he said, nope, never did it. He also flagged something really useful for off-road riding. It seems like dirt or any mud would change it anyway. It's a really good point, isn't it? Because if we get mud on it, that's going to counteract any masses that we've sort of offset. We chatted to Adam Brayton, aka Gaster Flat, a rider that's not shy of bossing races like Hardline, World Cup DH races, and yeah, he said he's only noticed a very subtle effect of high-speed wheel instability on motorway sections like at Leogang. For reference, the motorway section is a sort of ultra-high speed, a little bit dull to watch bit that sort of links the really good top bit of Leogang and the really good bottom bit. So I then asked him, well, is it just a sort of French thing? French racers get really hyper nerdy about certain features, and Adam replied with, yep, it's very French. One of Adam's pals rides a bit of moto enduro too, Johnny Walker. He is extremely good. For a mountain biker, he might be most famous for riding down the hardline track in Wales, but on his enduro motorbike. I mean, just the wild skills. And on his enduro bike, he's won a lot of wild races, Erzberg, Romaniacs, and many, many more. He's not wheel balancing either. And all of that sort of feeds into my chat with Rich Payne over on GMBN. His take was that, well, very immediately was nope, because he's like, you're on the dirt. And as soon as you're kind of on the dirt, you could pack up certain sections of your tyre with mud, and then it'd be out of balance. Or if it's really dry, okay, this is on a motocross bike. I mean, Rich has got lots of watts, but not that much. In the dry, you could tear the tread lugs off. So again, those small weights that you're adding to offset and balance everything, will it just be out of balance again? It's interesting, isn't it? I think for me, the understanding of how wheels roll, the mix of rotational inertia, you've got gyroscopic forces, you've got how off-road traction works, like you've got this contact patch that's always changing and it's going to work different on different terrains, and then you've got steep terrain and rolling terrain, and then you've got the opposing forces of braking, and you've got acceleration, and then you've got that frame flex thing that can feed into, well, speed wobble and other things. So, it could make a difference on paper. But on the trail, I think that's up for debate. What do you think? Next big thing, or not at all? Canyon have released an all-new Grand Canyon hardtail. The frame has had a geometric update to boost on-trail confidence, but the alloy frame has actually been slimmed down to just 1,989 grams. That's in a medium. Still super versatile setup too. So it's built now around 120mm fork. You've got a head angle of 66 degrees and a seat tube angle of 75 degrees. And the reach runs from 410 up to 490 across 5 adult sizes, 2 kid sizes, 1 in a 24-inch wheels and 2 with 27.5-inch wheels. It's got a BSA threaded bottom bracket, 31.6 seat post with internal dropper routing, and it's got a conventional seat post binder clamp. Classic internal cable routing, so through ports in the side of the down tube, and then it's got external from the sort of bottom bracket back. It's got boost, so 12 by 148 on the rear, and it's got Canyon's quick release on there as well, so that's really nice. Clearance for 2.4-inch tyres as well. Interesting bike. Pricing starts for an adult-sized bike at €750 for the Grand Canyon 5, and it's well spec'd too, with Q's 1x11 Link Glide drivetrain and a SR Suntour XCR32 air fork. We hope to get one in very soon. I think it looks great, to be fair. There's also an EMTB version of the Grand Canyon too, so it's a Grand Canyon On. Yeah. Also designed around 120mm fork with a Bosch Performance Line CX motor with a healthy 85 Nm of assist. It's got clearance for 2.6-inch tyres and it's across just 4 sizes. But pricing starts for that at €2,799. So offering great value as an EMTB. German brand Bike Yoke have new bars. From the shaping and the sweep, the rise, so the rise up and the back sweep, they aren't too out of the ordinary, but how Bike Yoke are measuring them is different. So the logic is that the way we measured bars before isn't right, but this new way, it's better. Okay, so bar rise traditionally has been a rough measurement of the kind of center line of the bar where it's clamped, and then where those shoulders go up just at that point. And it's that vertical curve which gives you the rise. And for me, that's kind of worked fine. You know what you're getting if you get a 30mm rise, you kind of know what you're getting with a 38mm rise. But Bike Yoke are saying that we should measure to the tips. And also we should call rise stack, and then the back sweep we should call reach, which, I mean, it's great to have a different interpretation, because if you've got, you know, a 40mm rise bar and then there's up sweep, well, it's going to be more than 40mm at the ends. But Yeah, it just feels a bit confusing as well because we've already got reach and stack when we talk about frames. Anyway, as with many new bars, they're also meant to be really comfortable, so that's good. And there's also aluminium version and a carbon version. With the carbon version, they've got a titanium mesh, which they use on the stem clamp area and also where the brake lever is. They're saying it's a new thing, but I'm pretty sure that Raceface did it a while back. I mean, it's great to see extra protection against crush damage. In my head, I think that's why there was lots of hype about 35mm diameter clamp anyway, because it's meant to counter that. Anyway, it's all there. Interesting bar. Alloy bar is from £75 plus shipping, and the carbon bar is from £227 plus shipping. And speaking of Raceface, they've got something new as well. Raceface have a new Turbine SL stem, and it flips from DC to trail. That's downcountry to trail, or maybe it's from trail to XC. There's a lot of weird terms. Essentially, they've got a really nice looking alloy stem. It's all machined, very nicely finished. And I'm not saying it's new money for old rope, but one of the great features of many brands' stem is that when you've got a full faceplate that you could remove, you could flip it to a different direction. Sometimes those stems did look awful, and at least this one does look great in either the sort of negative or the positive. And you can kind of gain 6mm or drop 6mm. So I guess it's like sticking a spacer underneath. There's 3 different lengths, of 40, 50 or 60mm. Lots of colours, like your classic black and silver, but also the cash money. I like that, quite fun. Pricing from 115 US dollars, 110 UK pounds, or 119 euros. New burly rubber. Yep, Specialized have updated their well-regarded Butcher and Eliminator tyres. They've been in the range for quite a while, but they're new and improved. So we've got a subtly different knob shape, we've got a subtly different carcass, and yeah, there's some other tread details in there too, which is all really nice. And I think it's really fun that they've, yes, worked with some supercomputers to update these tyres, but they've also worked with some super racers too. They've worked with Finn and Loic to improve these tyres. So in short, the feedback from the supercomputers and the super racers is that the tread lugs are a bit bigger, which should boost knob contact, and the carcass has been redesigned and reworked for better damping. Both new tyres get 2 new casing options too. There's the Grid Trail, which is the trail one, which is a burlier B2B protection. Then there's the Grid Gravity, which is 2-ply downhill casing for maximum durability. Specialised, say, for e-bikes and aggressive riders. There's heaps of sizes too, so there's just 27.5 and just 29er, but you've got sizes from 2.2 to 2.4 to 2.6. But all of the size and all of the tech aside, I think the bigger picture might be that the pricing is new. So the Grid Trail carcass is 50 quid or 60 euros, and then the Grid Gravity is just 55 or 70 euros. Those are really competitive prices. Is that an option? Is price a point for you? Let me know in the comments. YT have released a new range of clothing, the Tech Shell collection. It's all riding gear, so they've got waterproofs and dry-release wicking ride wear like jacket, trousers. All of them have got lots of nice details. You've got waterproof zippers, magnetic closures, Velcro cuffs, goggle wipe, with, interestingly, an environmentally water-resistant surface finish. Lots of kind of numbers, 15,000 waterproof and breathability rating, and it's also got taped seams. So it feels like these would be really good, nicely thought out. Lots of pockets too, so you've got storage options. There's a vest as well, which packs up into its own sort of ensemble, which is pretty good. Esker Cycles, they've refreshed their hardtail lineup, and they've got some lovely looking steel and titanium bikes. But they've also got a new suspension bike that's caught my eye. They've got the Howdy and the Woodsy, and both are available with either an aluminium or titanium front triangle. I've touched on looks, but how they work is also important. And interestingly, they use Dave Weagle's Orion platform. So it's an older DW platform, and I think it was originally developed for motorbikes because they were designed around a single ring. So this is pre-single ring drivetrains on mountain bikes. So it's kind of interesting. So there's the 145mm travel, 160 front Woodsy, and then there's the 125mm rear travel and 140 Howdy. There's 4 sizes, and they've got modern geometry too. So the Howdy has a head angle of 64.8 and a seat angle of 77. And the reach across those 4 sizes runs from 427mm up to 508mm. Okay, on the Woodsy, we've got a head angle of 64.5, seat angle of 77.5, and the reach, again on 4 sizes, runs from 441mm up to 531, so they are longer bikes. So pricing for either model in an alloy starts from $2,000, that's for a frame, and alloy complete bikes start at $4,000. Now, pricing for either model with that tie front end start for frame only at $3,500, and then completes start at $5,500. Okay, nice looking. I think they're really good. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below if looks really matter. Is that what makes you buy a bike or not? Okay, here's some cool stuff that we've seen on the internet. I think first for me is, well, Nino's Cape Epic bike. I mean, it just looks rad. When else are you going to pay a cheater on your bike? Brilliant stuff. And I love the fact that Nino's got a pump on there, he's got tools, and he's even got a saddlebag. See, no tech zone at Cape Epic, just all good stuff. And finally, we've seen Paul's Components, a wonderful aluminium machining company from Chico, California, one of the OG mountain bike brands really, run by, yep, a nice guy called Paul. They've got a new brake lever. It's the short reach cantilever, and well, it's a lever, so it's a short reach cantilever lever. I've doubled up on levers, but it's short reach in terms of cable pull, so it's designed only for cantilevers, not for linear pull or V-brakes, but it's shorter reach, so it sits closer to the bar as well. Lots of different colours, including purple, and yeah, it's machined in Chico, California. Price for the pair is $209. Oh, news just in! Yep, that's right, we've got new stuff in the shop. This wonderful garment is available now, so if you want some merch, head on over to the shop and get it right now. Quiz time. Yeah, you may have missed, or may have noticed even, that I missed the quiz last week. Huge apologies. I just waffled on far too much. Right, so 2 weeks ago we had a question from Martin, and he was in a sort of retro vibe, and it was, what was the original lineup for the 1994 Volvo Cannondale team? And I've got to say, this was a real toughie, which is what I'd asked him to do, but yeah, this was really tough. So the correct answer is Alison Sidor, Tom Schuler, Libor Carras, Missy Jove, Miles Rockwell, Mark Gullison, Frank Roman, and Sarah Ellis. So yeah, I mean, mechanic-wise, Steve Gravenitis was there as well, but he wasn't a racer, he was just a mechanic. Yeah, so in terms of winners, yes, we've got Tim, obviously, and we've got Arton again, 8977, and Initial P Photography. Okay, last week we introduced Met as one of our new partners, and we showed off their new helmet. So here's a question, might challenge you again. There's a Met helmet using racer. He's famous for his tuft. He's pretty good on a road bike, and it is on a road bike. He's won a couple of those, you know, those big loop ones that they do, especially that French one. Is it Tour de France? Tour de France, yeah, he's won that. But let's keep it sort of off-road, or at least gravelly. Can you name the gravel road race that this racer, famous for his tuft, has recently won? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, now it's time for my favourite section of the show, which is comments. Hopefully it's your favourite section too. This is from our show last week when we were talking about how long do you think bikes and parts should last. And it got lots of people commenting actually. So one that flashed up to me really early was from Captain Cool Pants 101. Not only a great name, but he raises a really important point. And he says, how rubbish is it that weight limits just are so low? So he's bought a new Scott and he does work out, and he weighs 101 just by himself, just muscle. But the total weight limit for that bike is just 110 kgs. So yeah, you can't pack a lot of snacks. So I guess he's saying just, well, why is it like that? I'm gonna say, should we do more talking about like builds for bigger, tougher riders? Let us know in the comments if you think that we should do some videos on that. I think we do, but let me know. Punching Cacti. His nephew is riding his old Hard Rock Sport that he bought in 2005 for $300. Just buy good bikes, take care of them, and they'll last a lifetime. I think that's really valid. I like that a lot. Okay, this was a sort of debate where I got nerdy about something and somebody took, I'm not sure if offence, but questioned why I was getting nerdy. And this is from Rissy K1. I wonder if he's related to Rissy Shocks. But yeah, he said, why is it immediately nerdy when you start talking about anything on a bike? There's a bit more. You're essentially calling out all your subscribers for being nerds when they're interested in bikes. Yeah, that wasn't my call. I did reply, but thankfully lots of people sort of dived in as well and said, yeah, that's what makes bikes interesting, is nerding out about them and the knowledge. So yeah, not trying to insult anybody. I think nerd is a good term. Maybe if I was calling you a dork, that would be an insult. Let me know in the comments if nerd or dork is worse. And yeah, finally, we've got a long answer here. So first, Prinny Dude, thanks very much for sort of defending me and saying that we're all nerds here and it's not a bad thing. But also, yes, I said that I'd got 2 brains and I don't have 2 brains. It's about 12 minutes 52 of the last video when I should have said cranium or I should have said skull, but I didn't and I mixed up. So thanks for spotting that. And he also says, yeah, don't change, so I won't change, but I'll try and listen. So on that topic of listening, do you want us to do, yeah, better discussion about what you need if you're a bigger rider? Let us know in the comments. What are we looking forward to this coming week? Well, we've got expensive brake pads versus cheap brake pads. It's really interesting in terms of just experimenting. Well, you'll just have to watch. It's good, I promise. And the other thing we've got is which matters more, fun or going fast? Maybe it's both the same thing. You should watch, it's really good. Join the debate in the comments, and yeah, what do you think? Do you think wheel balancing is gonna be the next big thing that we all have to do? Or do you think we might be able to just ride bikes and not worry about these hyper nerdy stuff? Let me know in the comments.